Passionate, driven, enthusiastic, euphoric. This is who we are as entrepreneurs. But how we leverage these incredible attributes to dream and build businesses that scale and grow is what this podcast is all about. Hello, I'm attorneypreneur Josh Brown, and welcome to Franchise Euphoria. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Franchise Euphoria. Josh Brown here. And before we get to the actual interview today, I wanted to tell you about something I've been working on for the last probably 2+ years. As many of you know, I'm a franchise attorney, and I spend a lot of time helping people buy great franchise systems, or what I hope will become a great franchise system. And to that end, I spent a lot of time reviewing the legal documents, what's called the franchise disclosure documents, that every franchisor is required to provide to prospective franchisees. Well, over the years, I've realized a lot of really important elements of each and every franchise disclosure document. What's included, what sometimes is not included, questions to then take back to your franchisor, red flags, and perhaps most importantly, a breakdown of what these complicated legal documents actually say in an understandable format. Now, what I've done with that is I've created a guide and audio series. It's called A Lawyer's Guide to Buying a Great Franchise. And it comes with about a 50-page nice PDF that breaks down every aspect of the franchise disclosure document, and also comes with audio case studies that further breaks down some of the more important elements of the FDD. Now, of course, if you want to check that out, and I would love for you to do so, just head over to indiefranchiselaw.com/guide. That's indiefranchiselaw.com/guide. And of course, I'd be remiss without saying that this is not a substitute, nor is it legal services. It is an educational guide, but I really think it's going to help you along your journey in finding the franchise that's right for you. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Franchise Euphoria. Today, I'm thrilled to have on both Robert Mallon and Bill Watkins. These two are best friends who together have over 80 years of professional experience as leaders, managers, entrepreneurs, and coaches. They founded Rusty Lion Academy and developed the Launch Sequence. They're looking for business owners, leaders, and entrepreneurs between the ages of 30 to 49 with unrealized potential who want to be more than they've become. And I'm having them on the show because specifically I think a lot of what they do can be of help and assistance to a lot of folks in the franchise space. And I really look forward to speaking with them today about just that. Hello, Robert, Bill. How are you?
Josh, so glad to be on your show, buddy. Really am.
Josh, Robert's been bragging about you since you guys joined Dan Miller's mastermind, so I'm kind of excited to meet you for the first time.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. Now, I've been a part of that mastermind now for a while now, and I know Robert's been a part of it. The 48 Days Mastermind has been tremendous with Dan Miller out of Franklin. So it's been great meeting great people like Robert, and now you, Bill. That's what it's all about, right?
Yes, thank you.
So tell me about the Rusty Lion Academy.
Where should we start, Robert?
Take it, Bill. Yeah.
Well, I'll start with two things. One is our timeline and what we do. Then I'll throw the pitch over to Robert. Our timeline began when Robert and I became treasured best friends, maybe 20-ish years ago. And we've helped each other in our respective careers. Robert was very key in developing the leadership team that eventually helped me sell my companies, the Morena Group. And along the way, we've bonded together personally and professionally. And in after selling my companies in 2012, I spent a lot of time with Robert, kind of talking about, for me, what was next. I had some companies that I wanted to launch, and ultimately we decided collectively that I didn't have stepping on the podium for myself any longer. I'd so-called won enough medals. I wanted to help other guys do what I have done. And then as that discussion developed, I went to Robert one time, November of 2013, and I said, Robert, I think we'll be better together than we will apart, and that we should join forces, combine our philosophies, our techniques, our experiences and expertise, and we should create a single company to help men, help leaders than apart. And fortunately, Robert said yes. And so we began building the company in late 2013. We officially launched publicly in the spring of 2015, and we've been full bore since then. And specifically what we do, Josh, and I definitely know in your audience are leaders who would benefit from this, is that we believe in two things. We believe in building uber successful businesses. In your audience's case, it's probably franchises, but those are businesses. And second of all, we believe that that is not the end all, that the life of a leader is much more comprehensive than just their business. Business is important. It's been important in our past. It's important right now as we build Rusty Lion Academy into a uber successful big coaching and mentoring business. But we also realize that, excuse me, Josh, winning at work and going home to a catastrophe at home is not a win in life. And so we're the guys, we're not business consultants, we're the guys that come alongside leaders and help them build extraordinary lives alongside of really successful, impactful businesses. Robert?
Well, I would say I agree with 99% of what you said, Bill, but I'm going to change one little thing. Okay. And that is that we do business consulting too. And so we really believe in having a thriving business. And most of the people that we work with, they've got good businesses already, but they're really struggling with how do they continue to put the hours in, to continue to grow the company while having an awesome life. And so, Bill and I both built real large companies, and we understand how to do that. And a lot of guys just don't have the tools to do that. So that's what we somewhat major in. And we came up with I guess you'd call it like a proprietary framework that you talked about, Josh, called the launch sequence. It really helps a man to, take it to the next level to really get on track with where they need to go, specifically to get to the point to where they can actually live present and fulfilled lives, if that makes sense to you. Like, in other words, if they're at home, they're not thinking about work. And when they're at work, they're not thinking about home. So they've got everything, going well. And so we really enjoy that. One thing, too, I'll throw out to you, Josh, and ladies, please do not turn off the podcast here, but we only work with men. And if it's okay with you, Josh, I'd like to tell why.
Absolutely.
We are questioned pretty often about why we do that, but Bill and I, just to make sure everybody understands this, we love women. We've both been married for over 30 years. We both have daughters, and I have a granddaughter. So we are infatuated with women. But when we started the academy, we made a decision real early on, really within the first month or so, that we were going to do everything we did world class, not half. And you can fill in the second word there. Okay?
Class minus the C and the L.
Exactly.
There you go.
And the reason, we said that, like, we really figured if it's at 90 or 95%, that's not world class. And so we go really, really deep with a man into actually 10 different areas of his life. And a lot of that is kind of personal. We don't feel like we could go that deeply into a woman's life. And to be quite frank with you, I've never said this out loud. I don't think my wife would want me going that deep, into a woman's life, besides hers maybe. But and so we really, really felt like there were certain parts of a woman's life that we just don't get.
My wife would agree with that.
Yeah, they'd both agree with. But I mean, we've never given birth. I've watched 3 births, but I've never given birth. And there's just certain parts of life that I've not experienced. And so we really felt like we could not do world class with a woman. And so our real sweet spot is that 30 to 49-year-old business owner or key leader within a business. And that's what we choose to work with.
Well, I think that's really interesting. I mean, I think it also highlights your focus, right? Because, I mean, you guys are not just focused, as you said, on the business side. You're focused as well on the personal side. I know, Robert, you know well, and I don't know if Bill's had a chance to meet, but one of the guys from our mastermind, Aaron Walker,
oh, absolutely.
He likes to talk about, success to significance, and
sure.
The idea that just because you're successful in your business doesn't necessarily mean you're successful in life. And so it's clear, at least to me, that's what you guys are going after. You're going after the business owners, the men who happen to be business owners, who want to be successful both in business and life. So that makes perfect sense to me.
Sure.
Good.
So tell me, when you're working with somebody, because our audience is made up of a lot of different folks in the franchise space, and certainly people who are at a position in their careers and a position in their businesses where now they're looking to grow. So they've got a foundation, they've got something that they've built, they've got something that they want to ostensibly grow. And part of that, I know, from experience and certainly from talking with folks, it's usually at that point in time where people start thinking about really putting together the whole success in business and in life. Because as you get things going, a lot of times I think it's real easy to lose focus and to lose balance. How do you help folks who are in that position where they've really been really driven to business success, but now they have to figure out a way to bring a little bit more balance into their life?
Hey, Robert, can I just mention one thing?
Please.
And then I'd like Robert to talk about this 3-step process we have. But I know that balance, and we know that balance is this magical word that we see in the press that people talk about. But we consider balance to be the fountain of youth that everybody in the past would go out on expeditions to find that they never found. It's a yeti, it's a unicorn. It absolutely does not exist. There is ebb and flow in life. There's never balance. We had a client, very successful businessman, planning out his 90-day goals, many of them work-related. And then, he said, oh my gosh, my wife and I are adopting a baby next month. Well, guess what happened to his work goals? They were subjugated by this reality, this very, very important reality, that he had to let go of some of his work goals so that he could achieve this great family and personal goal and welcome his son into his family. So I think one of the mindsets that we implant in our audience is that they should not expect balance. What they should expect is a powerful tool set and a mindset that allows them to move nimbly with agility and with effectiveness through the ever-changing landscape of their life, which includes their business, but it also includes 9 other categories.
So to add to that, well, go ahead, Josh.
I was just going to say, I think that's a really good point. I mean, you do hear a lot about balance, and I've talked to several people, and I think this is probably more appropriate for my own life. If I talk about my own business and family and stuff, it's really hard to achieve, at least for me, and I think it's a personal kind of a thing. But I would suspect there's a lot of people out there. It's really hard to achieve an equilibrium across the board, because we go through different seasons, we go through different stages, we go through different parts, just like you said, Bill. And I think, for me, sometimes a part of achieving just a good quote unquote balance or making sure that things are okay on the home front and the business front is to make sure that you have really good communication and being able to communicate to your significant other and to other folks that this is a really busy time right now and so on and so forth. Do you find that to be the case?
Well, yeah, I think I would think that having you as a father, Josh, listening carefully to your children, and you as a couple sharing the dynamics of your I don't know how old your children are, but many in our audience have young children, sharing the very dynamic nature of your personal lives and your family life. I think that's absolutely critical. But Robert, I'd like you to talk very practically about the tool set, the principles, at least, of the tool set. So this is not some. None of us are trained for this, Josh. None of us are trained for fast-moving, impactful business, and of course, having children and marriage and all that. That's a fast velocity life just in itself. So, but none of us are ever trained for that. And we look around and we see all these success stories lifted up, and they're so successful at work and they've got it made. And if you pull the curtain back, not so much, not so true.
You'd be surprised, Josh. Yeah,
you would be immensely surprised how many clients, immensely successful people, if you saw them on the outside, and when we get behind the curtain, we see that there's a lot of desire on their part to get as much success in the other areas of their life. They feel like they're slipping through their hands, and Robert, in his wonderful process, literally hands them the tools that they can master. It's like handing a good carpenter the best tool set. They can build so many beautiful things.
Yeah, that's so important. I mean, Robert, talk a little bit about that tool set. Talk about that launch sequence and the steps that you guys go through.
Well, if you can imagine three things, and actually I grew up, I'm going to date myself a little bit here, but I grew up and I remember the Apollo missions. But if you can kind of see like one of the Apollo spacecraft on the launch pad, we have three different levels, I guess you could say. But the first one is what's called a T-1 call, which is between an hour and a half and 2 hour long call that we do with a prospective client. But what we do in that, we actually give them a document to go through and actually answer a lot of questions before we get with them. And during that call, I'll give you the kind of the gist of what we do and then the outcome that we get with them. But most people are so in the forest that they can't see the trees. And so they're going after everything. And if you go after everything, you just don't get everything done that you need to get. And so there are some very specific key elements that they need to go after. And so we go through that document with them. Then we go through what's called a life category sheet, which takes probably about 45 minutes or so, but we go through 10 life categories with them. Things like, their business, their financial, their spiritual, their family, their recreational, their educational, whatever. But there's a lot. We find out exactly where they are. Okay, exactly. And we get super specific with that. And it's really a fun process for them. And then we determine, like, let's say, for example, if you told me on a scale of 1 to 10 that you were right now, I don't know, let's say in the recreational part of your life, fun and recreation, that you're at a 7. Well, then we would find out specifically what could you do in the next 90 days to take that 7 to an 8. Okay. And then we get super specific on that. So we go through the whole life categories. Then we always go after business, always the work part of their life, because that's fueling everything else. But then we pick 2 other areas and we craft 3 targets for them to go after over the next 90 days. Okay. So at the end of that call, that T-1 call, they know exactly where they are. They usually tell us that they have more clarity than they've ever had in their life just from that little hour and a half that they just took with us. But then they could literally go by themselves and go after that and know what to do. Okay. Most people, though, move to the next level, which is called liftoff. And there's 2 levels of liftoff. Each of those are 3 months each. And in those, we find, and again, this would be something that might surprise you, but very, very highly successful people, they're not real good at time management and organizational skills. So in the first 3 months, besides going after their goals and besides doing some leadership training with them, very particular to them, by the way, everybody is different, we help them develop a very sophisticated time management and organizational system. And bar none, every person we do this with, and there's been tons of them, just go, oh my gosh, I'm getting so much more done in so much less time, and I'm not working as many hours as I used to, and it's just a very eye-opening thing. And then there's another lift-off after that, which is another 3 months, which really gives them a lot more tools as far as leadership. But then the third level would be what we call orbit. So if you could see liftoff is going to be a lot of energy expended, just like the spacecraft when it goes up. It's big rockets and, all the fire coming out and all that. When you get into orbit, it's almost like rinse and repeat. So every 90 days, we get back together. We work with men 2 times per month. About an hour and 15 minutes each, or hour and 15 to an hour 30. We do group coaching, so we put them in groups of like-minded people. And it's great because they make a lot of friends. They're accomplishing a lot of things. And the good thing is they're changing the categories every 3 months. That's the key right there, Josh, as far as you don't go after, the financial part of your life forever, because there's something else that you need to go after. So every 90 days we recalibrate, and they just get such a sense of accomplishment from achieving those goals. And we're right there with them, helping them achieve them. And, giving them motivation and accountability at the same time. So we just see that the men really, really, really are charged up by it. And they just get a new energy of life because they're moving forward in such a fast speed. Last thing I'll say on that, Josh, I know you've been to airports and you've been on those moving sidewalks,
Sure.
Yeah. Between terminals or whatever. The coaching that we provide, the best way I can describe it to you would be you're on a moving sidewalk, you're walking, but everybody not on the sidewalk, they're using the same energy you are, but you're passing them by really quickly. And it's almost the exact same thing that happens with our clients. They move ahead so quickly that with little effort. I mean, it's almost effortless to go through because they've got help. So it fills us up with joy. I got to tell you that.
No, it sounds tremendous. I mean, so you said group coaching. Are these relatively small groups? And then typically how long are you working with folks? Is this on an ongoing basis, or do you have sort of
6 months? So 2 lift-off sequences, and they're anywhere from 4 to 12 men per group. We like to do them in group multiples of 4, so 4, 8, or 12. And the good part is we found at first Bill and I were just doing 2-on-1 coaching, and then actually last October we got a suggestion from one of our clients, lives in Alpharetta here in Atlanta, and he says, here's what I'd like to do. And he started kind of describing this group coaching thing. And so in January we launched our first one. And we found within about a month and a half or so that these guys were going nuts over it. They loved it so much. They were making friends. There was a lot more accountability. There were a lot more input from like-minded men, all business owners or key leaders within organizations. So all respected guys. And so friendship started happening. And that's something that, we're friends with our clients, but when you've got 8 more guys who you're really friends with and who get to know you, that's just an added bonus that you really don't get someplace else. And there's a lot of interaction there.
And so during the coaching, is there are you working with folks all over the U.S.?
All over the U.S. and a little bit outside of the country too.
Outside of the country, and then so there's several live calls. It sounds like. Is there work to be done in between sessions?
Yes, definitely. So they're always working on their goals. We also we have a great curriculum of leadership. But when I say leadership, everybody goes, okay, leadership. It's all different types of things. So it's under the umbrella of leadership. So they work on they watch videos. They actually go through worksheets and things like that in between. So they always come prepared to the meetings.
Well, that sounds really fantastic, and I know that. I know from my experience, just in working with people on the legal side of things and in an advisory type role, that folks really need a lot of different kind of help in their business, and in their lives in general, as you said. So I know that. You both information on Rusty Lion Academy can be found at rustylionacademy.com. And is there any other any other place or any other information that you'd like to let folks know about? Because I think there might be some folks who might be interested in what you all are offering.
Thank you so much for asking. And Bill, if you wouldn't mind, let me just throw it out. We've got a podcast too, Josh, that's it's called The Lion's Den for Businessmen. And so we put out 2 episodes per week. One is usually an interview with a high-achieving person. By the way, I'd love to have you on there, Josh, and I'm serious. And I was thinking about that earlier today. I'm sorry I hadn't even asked you yet. And then the other is Bill and I teaching something in the leadership realm. Actually, not always leadership, right, Bill? So we kind of go through a lot of different things that I think men would enjoy. Take it away.
We talked about me throwing my iPad into the woods.
He used it as a discus because it got so it was funny.
Well, Josh, there's 2 ways that we would love your audience to connect and benefit from us. One is we have a free membership site called The Lion's Den. And if they go to rustylionacademy.com/register, they can become a member of our Lion's Den. It's totally free, no obligation. They'll get our weekly content delivered to their email inbox, and they'll also get immediate access to the free videos and the free training resources that Robert mentioned. And Robert, what did we do? It took us almost a year to create a lot of those videos.
Sure did. Yeah.
And the next thing that we started about, Robert, 6 months ago maybe, is a free live training. It's a 1-hour masterclass that Robert and I literally, Josh, teach this method that Robert was talking to you about, this mindset that there's more to life than just work. So that's part of the teaching. And second, then I know that there is, but how do I score myself? So Robert walks people through the life categories exercise and makes it available to them so that they can do it for themselves in the future. Then how do you pick the things to work on in the next 90 days? We call those essential priorities. And then the third thing is how to actually write, to set, and then to go after goals that would literally accomplish those meaningful, those essential priorities, and literally make everything else in your life better, faster, and easier. So we teach that in that live wave training at rustylionacademy.com/live training, LIVE, one word training. We would love to see your audience out there, whether you're a franchisee, a franchisor, or some other entrepreneur or business owner or leader, key executive that aspires to build a great career and a great company, but not build a catastrophe at home. These 2 resources are the tools that your audience needs to make all that happen.
Well, that's fantastic. Thank you guys for taking the time to come on today. I mean, and to your question, Robert, I'd love to come on your podcast.
I would love to have you on.
I was looking over it as I was preparing for this a bit, and meant to ask you about that as well. So I'd be honored and thrilled to come on that podcast, and we can coordinate calendars off the call. So
Rebecca will be in touch with you. Okay, I've already got that down. So
absolutely. Well, thank you guys. I know you've got another call to get to, and I just really appreciate it, and really look forward to hearing more about what you're doing and all the success that you guys are having. So thank you so much for coming on.
Josh, we'll see you tomorrow afternoon. How about that?
Take care.
Okay, all right, Josh. See you later, my friend.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.
If any of the information you heard today you found meaningful, helpful, head on over to indyfranchiselaw.com. That's INDY franchiselaw.com. I've got a couple really cool white papers. One is what to know before you franchise your business. So if you're out there thinking about franchising your business and found today's episode helpful, go ahead to indyfranchiselaw.com and check out that free resource. Additionally, if you're thinking about buying a franchise, I've got a great resource on what to know before you buy a franchise. So head on over to indyfranchiselaw.com, INDY franchiselaw.com.
Thanks for being with us today on the Franchise Euphoria podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to go to iTunes and provide a review. Also, please remember that although Josh Brown is a licensed and practicing attorney, nothing contained in this podcast should be construed as legal advice, because it is not. The information contained in this podcast is general and educational in nature, and none of it should be relied upon as legal advice. That being said, if you have questions for Josh and would like to contact him, please email him at josh@franchiseeuphoria.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we hope you tune in to our next weekly episode.